4 Zerglings are going to be running over to the 3rd, right? And it's going to be, well, okay, then what's going to happen from there? I do like a little bit of a, I don't even know what it's called, Contaminate going down on the 3rd hatchery of Sasquatch. A good little move there by Complexity's Gowser. Yep, Gowser, goswser. I have got to stop doing that, man.
Yeah, Contaminate is great because it holds up that larva production a whole lot. And, you know, it just pauses the larva inject. So your queen's building up energy, you're not spawning the larva that you need, you can't, you know, research if you're at that hatchery.
That queen actually did just hit 75 energy. I'd love to see 2 tumors go down out of that 3rd and just start getting that all set up.
I'd love to see any tumors, really. We only have the 2 for goswser, and they're in his main.
And well, there's 2 at the natural that just went down. There are 3 infested Terrans and a fungal that do land on this overseer. 4 changelings do come out, and they're going to be kind of tricky to find. They're slipped in there with the infestors.
Yeah, those Zergling changelings. Very hard to see some days.
Oh, looking at the upgrades, we do have 2-0 for goswser, while it's 1-2 for a Sasquatch. So a little bit heavier on the attack for goswser.
Yeah, slight upgrade advantage for Sasquatch right now. Mutalisk's trying to pick on these defenseless infestors at the 4th.
Yep, and actually they might get a kill or 2. No, good transfuses going down and some infested Terrans. Not exactly the trade that you want to do. But man, goswser now popping out 10 drones, at least on the way, dropping down a lot of spine crawlers. So that's what he's doing. Oh, huge engagement coming in as fungals are landing on top of roaches everywhere. Lots of infested Terrans going down. I think most of them are for goswser, but I can't exactly tell. But the supplies are telling that Sasquatch is dropping very, very heavily, but now goswser losing a ton in supplies. A couple of missed fungals there, but these infestors now are energyless and defenseless. There are no defenses. A lot more infested Terrans going down for Sasquatch that are going to take out a few of these queens, and the roaches can move forward until they see the wall of spine crawlers that we saw from Complexity's goswser in the last game. Trying to take that 4th, does not get it taken out.
Goswser's hive is just about to finish, but I'm not sure he's going to have any time to use any sort of tech from it. Oh, the changelings actually walled in an infestor against the wall so the roaches could just pick it off.
Oh, wow, that was good use of that there. Now, while the spine crawler is trying to burrow, it is going to get sniped out. Lots of infested Terrans going down. I'd actually prefer to see some fungals being used instead, but maybe there were 50 energy on a ton of infestors here, and these infested Terrans are actually going to snipe out a couple of the spine crawlers as they're coming down. Beach Party in Complexity, goswser's natural, man. Look at all these beach balls being tossed around. Well, a handful of roaches, only 9 of them, marching up into the main. Wow, a lot of drones that can get sniped out here. A lot of tech that can be taken out as well, and this is looking terrible. 193, 114 supply.
Roach infestation in your main base is not something you want to have. A Hydralisk den now for Sasquatch.
This is almost sort of a Manor Hydra den. I mean, I do know that Roach Infestor Hydra can be great for the high DPS that the Hydras give, but I think this might be a little too late, or maybe he's anticipating like some sort of crazy airplay and he thinks that Hydras are the way to go against it.
Well, he did spot the hive, but I don't know. Hydralisks against Broodlords? I'm not sure about that.
No, I think, yeah, it may have just been for the lulz. That is going to be GG.
Alright, Sasquatch taking game 1 on Daybreak.
Oh man, I've got to get a drink.
And it is kind of interesting. We saw Sasquatch be behind on supply for most of that game, and then all of a sudden he just shot into the lead.
Mm-hmm. There was a point where it was... he was down by 10 supply, but I think it was mostly him losing his macro because he was microing so hard, but he kept on in his injects, so then he had like 30 larvae and all the money in the world to just make anything and everything that he wanted.
Yeah, the Mutalisks were very well parried, and you know, he, to his credit, didn't continue that because, you know, they're not, or he didn't overproduce, I should say. He just, you know, transitioned right into that Roach Infestor and just was able to meet goswser head on with that.
And we did see, I think we can safely predict just about what goswser wants to do in terms of build order. He likes to play it safe. He's fine with the Zergling Baneling metagame. He likes to move up into the Roach Infester play. Haven't seen him go Spire. And he defends well against Spire play. And generally, Roach Infester is what you're going to see more for the long term. Spire is trying to catch your opponent off guard. Because if you can get that gaggle, if you can get like 20 mutas out and not lose them to a fungal, you know, you can snipe things so heavily. And even if you can force fungals like on Zerglings, then it seems like, well, then awesome. We're going to be able to to spend all sorts of time using our mutas to harass, to snipe out infestors, to snipe queens.
Then the mutalisks are great because they keep your opponent on the back foot. You can just kind of fly around the map, get into the main, get into the third, get into the natural. Just get all over the place and, you know, really just wreak havoc. Keep your opponent in his base so he can't come and kill you. And it just buys you all sorts of time to drone up, to tech, to do all sorts of really nice stuff.
All right, we're moving right into game 2. And the one thing that I was going to ask is, what do you think goswser was going to pick for a map? But hey, we've already got it answered. It is going to be GSL's Metropolis.
This map is kind of interesting. If they spawn cross, well, I'm not sure. GSL, do they force cross?
No, GSL does not force cross. And in fact, we can see starting up here at the right-hand side at the 3 o'clock position, we are going to have Complexity's goswser showed some dominance against Tropical Bob, but faltering a little bit against his, I don't want to say teammate, but maybe training partner, Sasquatch, who is spawning at the 6 o'clock position, so they are going to be close by air, and the Overlords are going to give each other a high five midway right across. I'm not sure. It's, again, it comes to, I think, map comfort when it's going to be mirror matchup. It's going to be going to your playstyle, what you want to do. And this, with the destructible rocks, there's a decent little wall off that can be had, especially with a couple of creep tumors. You can really SimCity that up with a Roach Warren and some Evolution Chambers. The third is good to harass. It sort of reminds me of an Ohana.
It is very true, very similar to Ohana in that the third is close, but there are rocks in the way, so you have to take a long way around to drop the hatchery to start with, and it's difficult to defend until you get queens or zerglings or roaches to break the rocks. Yep.
That's very much like Ohana, but there's the close by air, so now it's a little bit more of course, Ohana, you know, it's just 2 spawn points, but you have to control the area in front of a third to be able to say, okay, well, I need to be able to defend my natural, I also need to be able to defend my third, and I can't let them go through that northern corridor and slip through. It is interesting that the Overlords are not going into each other's bases. They're not going to try to see any timings that are going on as far as building trap goes. They're actually pulling them back to try to get vision. And this could be an interesting thing, is if you try to slip around kind of this back corridor, almost a kind of a tasteless corridor for Metropolis. Yeah,
if you take the long way around, you can get completely around that watchtower without being spotted. It can really mess your opponent up. I know I've done that in a few games against you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm completely eating my words. There are a couple of Overlords floating around in each other's bases. Those are the Overlords. The other Overlords we saw were actually second Overlords spawned that did a second little Overlord hug as they passed by. It's like you meet that friend of yours, and they come up, and they're just so touchy-feely. They're just like, hey, how have you been? They just hug you, and you're like, oh, God. Didn't see you there. But Overlords always love to do that, because they're so friendly. They're big, fluffy, happy Overlords. Well, fluffy, creepy, crawly way, you know, with the spines and the spikes and the claws. That's fluffy, right? You know, like bunnies.
Kinda. Exactly. Interesting that Sasquatch's queens are, you know, significantly later. Not sure if that was just a later pool timing. It was a later pool timing, but I'm not sure. Well, he'll get his second up right as goswser finishes his second queen as well. So.
But it's just like you said, he doesn't have that first queen out, and I suppose it is that pool timing. Maybe he slipped for a little bit. He was sitting on a fair bit of minerals. I guess just waiting for the larva to come out so that he can make more and more drones. And I'm waiting to see, is he going to make a third queen? No, apparently not. He is instead going to be getting metabolic boost, along with wow, and a fairly early baneling nest. I'm not sure if this is on the defensive end for Ghost User. He knows his opponent would want to go hatch first. He knows that there's not going to be any super early Zerglings going out. So why the early baneling nest?
Well, Ghost User does love his banelings.
Yes.
We've seen this in every game that he's played so far. So, well, we'll see. You can. There's a lot of room in the main to hide them. You know, there's a fair bit of space around the edges of the creep that you can just park a couple Zerglings and then morph them in a little bit.
And of course, after the queens have come out, you're able to shoo the overlords away.
Yep.
Just not sure.
The scout for Ghost User does get in, but he is taken out before he gets into the actual main base.
And the big question is, did he see... No, he didn't see the evolution chamber down by the extractor, nor did he see the roach warren, but that's probably because it just now went down.
Yeah, the roach warren just starting, baneling nest just starting, and the missile attacks level 1 for Sasquatch now. Both players even on supply. Except Ghost User going now for his third.
We're going to have to see where these 4 Zerglings for Sasquatch are heading to. They look like they're going to pull up towards the... No, I was going to say they look like they might pull towards the third, but they're not going to. But banelings are being pulled over there, and that's actually going to free up for the Zerglings to go into the main and maybe take some pot shots at a couple of drones here. He is going to scout everything. He's going to see no second gas. And losing 1 Zergling, 2 Zergling, 3 Zergling, 4.
Oh, yeah, 1 baneling hit takes out a couple of those. It's a decent trade.
Yes. There was the 3rd extractor going down. There was the 4th... I'm sorry, 2nd extractor. It was one of the naturals going down that was about it. Whoa, but a ton of Zerglings actually running into Sasquatch's main. I'm sorry, his natural. And that queen is dead. A lot of roaches, though, that do come out and are going to be able to readily defend this. Even a couple of drones, I think, that were poured out. No workers killed on either side.
And it looks like Sasquatch is just going to go for it. Not going for roach speed, he's just marching across the map. Although Ghost User does have a handful of banelings morphing in at the 3rd for Sasquatch, or where the 3rd would be. They're ready just to waddle their way into the mineral line as soon as the army of Sasquatch gets out of the way.
Oh, when some Zerglings slipped right down, and they're going to naturally... there are 2 banelings. Very, very good control to not make any more explode. And Sasquatch is going to morph his own, trying to prompt this. But whoa, huge baneling hits could land on a ton of these drones. But look how many are weak. I don't want to... I don't want to say that was a bad move by Ghost User, but just look at how many... I mean, I'm clicking off all the healthy ones that I've selected here, and it's... Wow, 12 drones sitting at like 7 health that were just begging to be eaten up. And now Sasquatch is like, well, that's okay. You killed all of... He has killed 7 drones on... Oh, man. Huge baneling hits, but only on roaches and slow roaches at that. Lots of banelings here who could land on a lot of big baneling and Zergling hits. It's going to be a very, very heavy, aggressive hit if Ghost User can get past these 2 spine crawlers. But I think there's just... I'm sorry, Sasquatch. But I think there's just too much in the way of defense for Ghost User.
I do like that Sasquatch was moving up his roaches before the baneling so that the spine crawlers would target the roaches and the banelings could just walk right up. But he did pull back before anything significant hit those.
Yeah, a lot of Zerglings are pulling up here. They're trying to get a good surround of these roaches. A few more going to drop here for Ghost User. I'm not sure if that's the correct decision. But this 1 baneling, and this 1 baneling could take out... Nope, it's going to get sniped. I do like... And then the 1 roach move to try to get that. A lot of Zerglings trying to get surrounds on each other, and Sasquatch is going to come out ahead. Now, Ghost User is up by 6 drones, but he's down 20 supply. He just doesn't have the army right now. Army supply very heavily favoring Sasquatch.
Yeah, those roaches are cheap on resources, but very expensive on supply.
Oh, man, and then a lot of Zerglings did get taken out by a couple of good baneling hits. very poor engagement getting right in next to those spine crawlers and not targeting them down, and suddenly Sasquatch is running for his life. One bad engagement, man, and that's going to do it.
Yeah, that's like we were saying with those with the ZVZ. One misstep and the game changes dramatically. Now Roach Speed and Infestors or Roach Speed just finishing for Ghost User, and Infestors now on the way. And a couple of Zerglings trying to hunt down the leftover roaches for Sasquatch.
Yep, and of course Zerglings are so cheap, 25 minerals apiece, 2 per larva. Like you said, Roach is cheap on the minerals, or cheap on the resources, but expensive on that food at 2 each. Very, very good if you can get those surrounds and get some very efficient trade in as far as Zergling Roach goes. And now the Infestors are popping out for Ghost User. We know how much, man, he loves those those Infestors. 5 on the field already. He just mass produces those things. 2 more on the way.
Now, did my eyes deceive me, or do we have a Hydralisk gun down?
Well, there's an engagement going on at the front, but if you're seeing it, then I'm going to go and take your word for it. Big fungal landing on a lot of these roaches, keeping them locked down, while whittling them down too, while the roaches of Ghost User continue to pelt away at him. Despite inferior roach numbers, yes, Ghost User needs to pull back to these spine crawlers. Good fungal is landing, and Ghost User is going to pull out, now leading in supply, both an army and almost an worker. Drones have actually pulled ahead for Sasquatch. Oh, but now some Zerglings catching energyless Infestors, except for the single last one that was able to come out. No Infestors are going to be killed, but that was a little bit of a close call for Ghost User.
Yeah, those Infestors are very vulnerable without having that attack. The Zerglings get right up on top of them. There's nothing they can do.
So expensive, so necessary too. Needs to be efficient in those trading. Ghost User just letting them walk out a little far. Sasquatch retaking that supply lead, as we do have larva count is about even on each. They're keeping up with their injects. Neither one really so maximizing a third, though. I mean, there's the third down for Sasquatch, so he's got that extra larva count, but there is not anything mining there.
Yeah, just a pair of drones on there. He also has the macro hatch, but he stopped injecting on his main. He only has the 3 queens. Or actually, yeah, only 3. But yeah.
Where is that hydrogen?
I saw it on the production tab. It must have been canceled.
Is it for Sasquatch?
For Sasquatch.
Yeah, I'm not seeing... Yeah, he must have dropped it down.
Engagement in the middle.
Oh, wow, big fight going down. Still some good fungals landing. There are no Infestors out in this engagement. In fact, there aren't any on the field at all for Sasquatch. He's trying to just over-roach his opponent. Trying to just mass out and try to outlast the fungals. And if he can rally some more roaches up, and do they not have speed? No, they have speed. And he might be able to take this because right now all the Infestors, there's 1 with a fungal available for Ghost User, and he's got 3 more being produced on the way. They only take 50 seconds to get out, so they're not like, massively long Broodlords or anything. But Sasquatch could be able to overpower his opponent right now. It's really going to come down again to that engagement, but I'd love to see Ghost User target like 3 Infestors up on the high ground of his main and just rain down fungals from above.
Well, with that last engagement in the center, Sasquatch had a huge arc around Ghost User's roaches, and that was able to force the win, even despite the fungals.
And there's, again, that big arc coming around, like you said before, even an Overseer here just to make sure there's no burrow shenanigans going on. And this spine crawler, taking 12 seconds to burrow, is going to get targeted down by these fungal roaches while other ones move forward and try to do some damage. This second spine crawler is going to be attacked, worn down, and more roaches are streaming across the map, but I don't know if it's going to be enough from Sasquatch. He's producing 11 more, rallied across the map, but we have 10 coming out for Ghost User. He does have fungals. He has a few more Infestors, and they're sort of cycling out their energy now. Even a Transfuse going down on one of the roaches, just keeping alive for that much longer, but still Sasquatch keeps the pressure on.
Yeah, still more roaches streaming across the map. He does have about a 30 or now a 20 supply lead. But now he's starting to pull back, and Ghost User is going to take that momentum and just push.
Yes, he's cutting that supply lead down, and he's pushing out his own roaches, his own Infestors, getting out into the field. And Sasquatch, I don't see him winning if he doesn't produce Infestors right now. He's got a lair, he's got an infestation pit, and he's got pathogen glands. So why doesn't he have any Infestors out? He's just not devoting the gas to it. He's even got Zerglings coming out to help support and just pushing forward. But man, I am eating my words. Maybe he doesn't need the Infestors. maybe he's just keeping the energy so low, he's reducing the amount of fungos, forcing the beach balls. You never want to do that when you're playing the Roach Infestor game. And even more changelings coming down here, just messing with the positional AI of goswser's army. But Sasquatch doesn't have all of his units up here. Some more Zerglings are coming in, helping, contributing to the DPS. But the arc is too good for goswser, and Sasquatch is pulling back, whittling down that supply, just back and forth, over and over. Resources lost tab show Sasquatch a little bit behind, but both players still close, and just so much damage going out.
And now we have the Hydralisk stun coming out for Sasquatch for real this time, I hope.
Maybe.
But Sasquatch this whole time has had a drone lead. So, you know, he's got 8 drones up on goswser now, so his income is a little bit higher, and he's able to just, you know, produce more and more and more. Although now goswser is, you know, caught up on supply. You know, a couple of engagements that really favored goswser. But here we go.
Big attack coming in. The fungos need to land. There's one going down, a few going down. Clustering is pretty decent for those fungos until now finally they're spreading about no, goswser just has the arc, and that gives him the advantage. That lets all of his roaches contribute to that DPS. The Zerglings died far too quickly. They're going to be ineffective at this point. They need to get a really good surround. And he's actually posturing to move him around for a nice little kind of swing by counterattack. But it's not going to be enough. There's just, now goswser is really feeling the power. 50 to 53 for our drone count. So the income pretty even on both, and larva count even on both as well.
And now we do have Hydralisks on the way with that Groove Spines upgrade. Both players going for their Carapace finally. They've been at the 2 attack for two missile attacks for quite a while now. But looks like no intentions of going to Hive Tech just yet.
No, it's just they want to stick to this game. They feel they can stick to this game. And now we even do have Hydras coming out. Will their extra DPS be enough? I'm not sure. The extra DPS is very good. The fungals don't hit them as hard because they don't do bonus versus armored. Let's see, what is it? 40 versus armored, but it's only 10 extra. So it's still going to do 30 damage to these weak, fragile Hydras. Which, here comes the engagement. I'm not sure. This is a decent spot for Sasquatch. Supplies are dead even, and now goswser is not in the right position. Fungals are landing to try to get his army in a decent position. And yes, now he's got the arc. Now he's got the push. Some fungals coming out from the infestors finally showing their face for Sasquatch. And beach balls are coming down to try to help absorb damage, but of course you can just pull back those waddling infested Terrans. Not so great in the speed.
Now it's kind of interesting. What we're seeing here is every time one army engages into the other, always a defender comes out on top because of just the quick reinforcements. That's one of the advantages of having big creep spread, is that you can reinforce that much quicker.
And wow, we do have a lot of infestors out here. Maybe a few too many. Oh, and no Overseer. Immediately one getting morphed here. Oh, but there are some rallied Overlords. 2 of them do get sniped out. That is going to limit a little bit of what goswser is going to be able to do. And these Hydras could have a couple more that would completely supply block goswser. Oh, and a couple of, yes, the Overseer does catch up. That is a lot of infestor kills, and that's going to be terrible. Oh, that is terrible. goswser is down to 4 infestors, and you know, you may say, oh well, Sasquatch only has 3, but Sasquatch hasn't played a high infestor game. goswser always has. The 4 are marching up, they do land their fungals and then die, they do what they can and then they're gone, but the Hydras out here are in full force. They are shooting at 14 damage every less than a second. Huge damage coming out here. And the arc is very, very good for Sasquatch. There are no spine crawlers for the engagement this time. goswser is down on supply, and he's losing Overlords pretty quickly. Some beach ball infested Terrans are absorbing some damage. Sasquatch is just waiting for some reinforcements, maybe to stream across the map. He does have 16 roaches on the way, and he does have his own burrow on the way as well. A couple of infestors are coming out. They could make the difference with some key fungos, but now goswser, no, drones being pulled off the line. That is not what you want. That is the sign of death imminent. It's a last desperate hope, a final attempt. And even if Sasquatch or if goswser is able to defend this, which it does look like it, he's now down 45 to 53 harvesters, and now the enforcements have arrived for Sasquatch.
Yeah, these roaches streaming across the map are going to be very hard to deal with for goswser. His bank has been used up, and he's down 40 supply.
Yep, and a lot of gas saved up for Sasquatch. I'd love to see him chuck out 4 infestors just to help out, but that is just not his playstyle. There are 3 more coming out here for Ghost User. He could chunk out 9 infested Terrans with that. Some good transfuses going down, but just constant roach play coming in. And you notice there are 3 Overseers in here, but they're all for Sasquatch. There are none for Ghost User, which means that these roaches can begin to burrow now. As the burrow finishes, they begin to burrow and they can start to regenerate health. Some clever burrow micro will be able to push these guys back. This is it. This is the end for Complexity Gouser. Sasquatch is going to take this 2-0 in a very, very well-played series. And I almost want to say not unconventional, but certainly not what you would expect.
Yeah, the Roach Infestor Hydra is kind of an interesting composition.